If you want to speak with confidence and influence, listen up. The way you talk has the power to shape how people see you, how they trust you, and how they follow you. Leaders don't just speak, they communicate with purpose, clarity, and strength. They know exactly how to get their message across and make people listen. But how do they do it? How can you talk with that same authority and make your words carry weight? In this video, you'll discover the key principles behind speaking like a true leader. You'll learn how to use your voice, your body language, and your message in ways that inspire action and respect. By the end of this video, you'll know how to speak with such confidence that people will take notice and be motivated to follow your lead. Ready to unlock your leadership potential? Let's get started. Number 1, speak clearly so people trust what you say. You walk into a room, you open your mouth to speak, and in the very next moment, people decide if they trust you or if they don't. That's how fast it happens. That's how fast judgment is made. That's how fast leadership is won or lost. Not after a long conversation, not after a resume, not after your intentions are known. The first words, the first sentence, the sound of your voice, the way your words land. That's where it starts. I've been in boardrooms, basements, and business halls across the world, and I've seen one simple truth. If people don't trust what you say, they won't follow you. And if they don't follow you, you're not leading, you're just talking. Now, why do people trust some voices and not others? Why do some people say a few words and everyone listens, while others go on and no one really hears a thing? It's not about how loud they talk. It's not about using big words. And it's definitely not about being perfect. It's about clarity. It's about being understood. It's about being human. You speak clearly so people know what you mean. You speak clearly so people don't guess who you are. You speak clearly so people feel like they can rely on you. That's what earns trust. Not just your words, but how you deliver them, and the clarity behind them. See, when you speak like a leader, you remove confusion, you remove hesitation, you remove doubt. People can feel it. They don't have to wonder what you're trying to say. They don't have to fill in the blanks. They hear you, they believe you, they remember you. But here's where most people go wrong. They think if they talk more, they're doing better. They think if they sound smarter, they'll be seen as wiser. But leadership isn't about showing off. It's about showing up for people with truth, with direction, with power, not noise. So let's get into this. Ask yourself this. When you speak, do people stop and listen, or do they nod politely while their mind drifts? Do you leave people more certain or more confused? Do people feel safe trusting your words, or do they feel unsure? Speaking clearly doesn't mean saying everything. It means saying what matters. It means removing the clutter from your voice. You don't need to sound like a robot. You don't need to memorize lines. You just need to say what you mean, without dancing around it. Think about the last conversation you had. Did you explain what you wanted, or did you hope the other person would figure it out? Did you speak with confidence, or did your voice trail off? Did you say it simply, or did you bury your message under too many words? When you speak like a leader, you talk with purpose. You have a reason for opening your mouth. You're not just filling silence, you're building direction. You're creating momentum. You're giving people something solid to stand on. You don't ramble, you don't dodge. You don't whisper your ideas like they don't matter. You speak them like you believe in them. You speak them like someone's future depends on it. Because sometimes it does. And here's another thing. People are tired of unclear messages. They're tired of fake smiles. They're tired of empty words that sound good but mean nothing. They want real. They want clear. They want strong. They want someone who doesn't need to yell to be heard, but doesn't hesitate when it's time to speak. And that's you if you decide it's going to be. But it won't happen by accident. You have to train it. You have to practice it. You have to strip away the habits that keep your voice small. You have to stop hiding behind vague words. You have to stop sugarcoating your message. Just to make people like you. Speak to be understood. Speak to be respected. Speak to be followed. Now let's get even more real. Why do people mumble their way through life? Why do people hesitate to say things straight? Because deep down, they're afraid. They're afraid they'll say the wrong thing. They're afraid they'll upset someone. They're afraid they'll be judged. But here's the truth. If you're always trying to please everyone, you'll end up leading no one. Clarity demands courage, and courage demands honesty. That's the difference between noise and leadership. One fills the room, the other fills the soul. You want people to believe you? Speak clearly. You want people to trust you? Speak like you've thought it through. You want people to follow you? Speak like you're going somewhere. And I don't care what your title is. I don't care what your role is. If your words carry weight, you're already leading, whether it's in your family, your team, your business, or your own life. You lead by the words you choose and the way you deliver them. Some people say, "I'm just not a good speaker." That's a lie. You speak every day. You speak to your friends. You speak to yourself. You speak to strangers. You're not broken. You're just not clear. And that can be fixed right now. Start with this. Slow down. Most people rush their words. They're in a hurry to get it out. But leaders understand that speed doesn't equal strength. You pause, you breathe, you let your words land. You allow silence to give space to meaning. Next, say less. That's right. Don't say everything you know. Say the one thing people need to hear. Make it count. When you speak with focus, people remember what you said. When you say too much, they remember nothing. Then speak from your truth, not someone else's script, not what you think people want to hear, but what you actually believe. Because that's what makes your voice powerful. Not the sound, but the source. People can feel when you mean it. Now pay attention to how your voice sounds. If you speak like you're unsure, people will feel unsure around you. If your tone sounds nervous, people won't feel safe. You don't have to be loud, but you do have to be certain. And here's the test. After you speak, ask yourself, did I say what needed to be said? Did I speak with respect, but also with firmness? Did I make things clearer or more confusing? Because here's what I've learned. A leader who speaks clearly builds trust faster than one who speaks beautifully. Clarity builds connection. Clarity builds action. Clarity creates movement. And in leadership, movement is everything. So if you want people to trust you, stop trying to impress them. Start trying to reach them. Use the words that matter. Cut the fluff. Get to the point. Talk like someone who's got something real to say. People are craving clarity in a noisy world. Be the one who gives it. People are looking for direction in a time of confusion. Be the one who speaks it. People are searching for truth in a sea of lies. Be the one who tells it. And you don't need a stage. You don't need a spotlight. You just need your own voice. Steady and clear. You need your own truth. Spoken without fear. You need your own mission. Shared with conviction. That's what leadership sounds like. So from this moment on, make a decision. That from now on you speak with clarity. You don't talk just to talk. You speak because it matters. You speak because people need you to. And you're not here to sound perfect. You're here to sound real. You're not here to get applause. You're here to get through to people. You're not here to just be liked. You're here to be trusted. Speak like your words can change a moment. Because they can. Speak like your words can guide someone's thinking. Because they will. Speak like your voice can make the room stronger. Because it does. That's how you talk like a leader. And once you learn how, you won't want to speak any other way again. Because you'll see what happens when people believe you. You'll feel the shift when people look at you differently. And you'll know deep down that you've stepped into something bigger than a role. You've stepped into who you were meant to be. Now go speak like someone who means every word. Speak like someone people can count on. Speak like someone who's ready to lead. Because if your words are clear, your leadership will be too. And the world needs more of that. Starting with you. Number 2, control your tone to stay calm and confident. You will never be taken seriously if your tone doesn't match your message. You can have the right idea, the right intention, the right information. But if your voice trembles, if you sound irritated, if you sound unsure, if you sound arrogant, the door to leadership quietly closes in front of you. People won't tell you this, they'll just stop listening. That's the cost of not learning how to control your tone. The way you speak says more than your words ever will. Your tone shows if you're calm under pressure. It shows if you believe in yourself. It shows if you respect others. It reveals your emotional state before you even finish a sentence. And once that tone escapes, you can't take it back. That's why this matters. A person who speaks with calm confidence wins people, not with charm, not with force, but with a voice that holds steady even when everything else is falling apart. That's power. That's leadership. That's self-respect turned outward. I've seen men lose credibility in seconds because they raised their voice. I've seen women get overlooked because their tone sounded too apologetic. And I've watched strong ideas get rejected because they were spoken with tension or fear. Don't let that be you. Your tone is your emotional fingerprint. It tells people if they can trust you. It tells people how you feel about what you're saying, and it tells them how they should feel about it too. When you speak with calm and confidence, you influence the room. You shift the atmosphere. You guide attention, and you earn the kind of respect that's not based on your resume. It's based on how people feel when they hear you. Ask yourself this: how do people feel after you speak? Are they tense? Are they inspired? Are they confused? Or are they steady? If you want to lead, you can't leave that up to chance. You have to own it. You have to command it. And that starts with how you use your tone. Let's break this down to reality. You've been in situations where your heart's racing. Maybe it's a difficult conversation. Maybe it's a public moment. Maybe you're defending something you care about. And in those moments, your tone wants to reflect the storm inside you. It wants to crack. It wants to climb. It wants to shake. That's natural. But leadership isn't about reacting. It's about directing. You have to direct your tone before it directs your outcome. The ability to control your tone isn't a gift. It's a skill. You develop it the same way you develop strength. You put yourself in hard situations, and you practice staying calm. You slow down your breathing. You drop your shoulders. You speak slower than your nerves want you to. And over time, that calm becomes real. That control becomes natural. That confidence becomes a habit. People often ask, how do I sound more confident? And my answer is simple. Speak like you mean it, but never like you need to prove it. If you need to shout, you've already lost control. If you rush, it means you're not grounded. Confidence isn't about volume. It's about clarity. It's about posture. It's about stillness inside. You've heard someone speak in a way that made you feel safe. You've also heard someone speak in a way that made you feel nervous. The words may be the same, but the tone is the difference. That's the leadership gap. That's what separates the person who gets ignored from the one who gets followed. And here's the thing. Your tone isn't just about what you say to others. It's also about how you speak to yourself. If you talk to yourself with panic, with shame, with pressure, your voice will carry that weight. But if you practice speaking to yourself with calm, with order, with quiet strength, that tone will show up in every interaction you have. Have you ever caught yourself apologizing just for speaking up? Have you ever heard yourself get louder when someone pushed back? Have you ever mumbled your opinion because you didn't want conflict? That's tone controlling you. Flip the script. Decide how you want to be heard before you speak. Set the tone before the words. In high-stakes situations, the leader is the one who doesn't flinch. When others react with emotion, the leader steadies the room with their voice, not because they don't feel anything, but because they know that panic spreads, and so does calm. If you want to lead, you don't get to feed the fire. You bring the temperature down. One of the most powerful things you can do is keep your voice even when you're being criticized. That's strength. To hold your ground without raising your voice. To speak your truth without sounding defensive. That's how you win trust. That's how you build a presence. People remember. You don't need to be dramatic. You don't need to sound tough. You need to sound sure. Sure of what you're saying. Sure of what you believe. Sure of your ability to express it without cracking under the weight of the moment. There's a reason people follow those who speak calmly. It makes them feel safer, and safety is the foundation of trust. If your tone adds stress, people pull away. If your tone offers steadiness, people lean in. Every time. People don't remember every word you say, but they remember how you made them feel. That's the emotional weight of tone. That's why mastering it changes the entire game. When I first started speaking, I didn't know this. I thought I had to sound excited all the time. I thought I had to speak fast, sound big, and fill every second with energy. But I learned something better. People respect the speaker who controls their energy more than the one who throws it everywhere. Silence is powerful. Pauses matter. The space between your words is as important as the words themselves, because that's where the truth sits. That's where your listener catches up. That's where trust is built. So speak with intention. Use silence as a tool, and let your tone say what your words can't. And when conflict hits, and it will, your tone will either lead people through it or drag them deeper into it. If you raise your voice in anger, you lose influence. If you lower your tone with control, you gain it. Every conflict is a test of tone. Pass the test, and you walk away with more respect than you started with. Leadership isn't about being the loudest in the room. It's about being the calmest voice when it matters most. Anyone can speak when things are easy, but only a leader can speak with calm and clarity when the pressure rises. You want to change your relationships, change your tone. You want to be heard in meetings, control your tone. You want to be the person others look to in a crisis. Let your tone reflect calm confidence, not chaos. That's the shift that separates average from influence. People will try to trigger you. They'll challenge your authority. They'll question your decisions. And in those moments, your tone is your protection. You don't respond with emotion. You respond with calm facts. You don't speak to win the argument. You speak to lead the situation. That's how you stay above it. That's how you earn long-term respect. If you've ever walked away from a conversation feeling like you lost control, then you already know the cost of tone. It makes you feel weak. It makes you feel like you gave your power away. Don't live like that. Take your tone back. Make it work for you. Practice in the mirror. Record your voice. Listen to how you sound under pressure. Be honest with yourself. Does your tone sound calm? Does it sound confident? Does it sound like someone you would trust? Train your voice to serve your values. If you believe in respect, let your tone show it. If you believe in clarity, let your tone deliver it. If you believe in leadership, then start sounding like someone who can be followed. You don't need to fake anything. You don't need to change who you are. You just need to own your delivery. Be aware of how you sound. Be intentional with your emotion. Don't give people a reason to doubt your steadiness. Give them a reason to believe in your presence. This is not about personality. This is about control. You can be quiet and powerful. You can be passionate and still composed. You can be intense and still calm. That's what the best leaders do. They don't silence their emotions. They command them, and their tone reflects that discipline. The next time you speak, take one deep breath before you start. Remind yourself, I control the tone. The tone doesn't control me. Then speak like you've already earned trust. Speak like your words matter. Speak like you're aware of how they'll land. Because once you master your tone, people stop seeing you as just another voice in the crowd. They see you as someone who's ready to lead them through anything. And that's when the real transformation begins. So if you want to lead, not just in business, not just in public, but in every area of your life, learn to control your tone. Because when your voice holds calm and confidence, everything else follows. You don't need to shout. You don't need to dominate. You just need to speak in a way that makes people trust what you say and how you say it. That's how leaders are heard. That's how movements are built. And that's how you become unforgettable. Speak with calm. Speak with control. Speak with quiet power, and watch everything start to shift. Number 3. Look people in the eye when you speak. If you can't look someone in the eye, you're giving away your power before you even speak. It's not about being aggressive. It's not about dominance. It's about truth. It's about presence. It's about standing where you are without flinching, without shrinking, without looking away from the moment you're in. Because when you avoid eye contact, what you're really avoiding is the weight of your own truth. People don't follow words. They follow conviction. They follow certainty. And that certainty shows up first in your eyes. If your eyes dart, if they drop to the floor, if they scan for escape, people can feel that, and they'll start to doubt you. Not because of what you said, but because of what your eyes whispered when you said it. There's a reason eye contact feels intense. It's because it's vulnerable. It's because it exposes you. It's because it says, I'm here, I'm not hiding, I'm not pretending. I see you, and I want to be seen. That kind of presence is rare, but unforgettable. It leaves an imprint. It makes people feel something real. Have you ever been in a room where someone walked in and made eye contact with everyone they passed? Not to intimidate, but to acknowledge, to respect, to signal that they were fully present. You noticed them. Without saying a word, they made the whole room feel their presence. That's not charisma. That's practice. That's awareness. That's power developed from self-respect. If you've ever looked away during an interview, or a disagreement, or even a compliment, and felt something slip through your fingers, that's the cost of broken eye contact. It breaks trust. It weakens connection. It says, I don't fully believe in what I'm saying, even if you do. The problem isn't in your words. It's in the message your body sends before the words ever land. And the worst part, you probably didn't even notice it. Most people don't. Because avoiding eye contact is a habit, one built out of fear, insecurity, self-doubt, or years of pretending not to care. But now it's time to wake up. You can't afford to live in avoidance. You can't afford to shrink from the people in front of you. You have to look directly at what you want to own. And that starts with holding someone's gaze. This is about more than communication. This is about reclaiming your internal authority. You don't get respect from people by avoiding their eyes. You get it by standing tall, breathing slow, and letting your gaze say what your words don't need to. When you look someone in the eye, you transmit something deeper than information. You transmit belief. You say, I'm not backing down. I'm not hiding behind polite smiles or shallow distractions. I'm right here. I believe in what I'm saying, and I believe I deserve to say it. That level of self-belief doesn't require arrogance. It requires presence. And presence starts with the eyes. Think about the most memorable conversations you've had. Were they the ones where the other person looked around the room while you spoke? Or were they the ones where their eyes never left yours? Where you felt heard, felt seen, felt important? That's not an accident. That's human psychology. We crave connection. And connection starts with eye contact. And don't think for a second that people can't feel the difference. They can. The eyes are the most honest part of the body. They betray fear. They expose nervousness. They magnify intention. That's why when you train yourself to hold eye contact, you're not just improving your communication, you're training your nervous system to stay calm under pressure. You're rewiring your brain to associate eye contact with power, not fear. This is where growth happens. In the discomfort. In the moments where your instinct is to look away, and you don't. In the moments where your voice wants to break, but your eyes stay steady. In the moments where someone tries to test you, and you pass, not with aggression, but with unshakable presence. That's where you gain ground on your old self. You don't need to stare. You don't need to intimidate. You just need to hold eye contact long enough to communicate that you're not running from the moment. You're not shrinking from who you are. You're not avoiding connection because connection scares you. That's maturity. That's growth. That's the quiet strength most people never develop. Most people flinch. Most people hide. Most people look down when things get real. But not you. Not anymore. Every time you avoid eye contact, you're training yourself to feel small. And every time you hold it, even when your heart races, you're training yourself to lead. It's not about being perfect. It's about showing up fully. It's about letting people feel your presence before they hear your words. And once they feel that, they listen differently. They treat you differently because they can see you believe in yourself. And if that feels hard right now, good. That means you're on the edge of a breakthrough. That means you're shedding the part of you that hid, that minimized, that apologized for taking up space. Let it go. Start over. Build from the inside out. From this moment forward, every conversation is a chance to practice. Every interaction is a moment to prove to yourself that you can hold the space without looking away, whether it's one person or 100. Remind yourself you belong here. You're not here to disappear. You're here to be seen, heard, and felt. Own that. Look people in the eye when you speak, not to impress, not to overpower, but to connect, to show up, to be honest. Let your eyes reflect your confidence, not your fear. Let them reflect your conviction, not your hesitation. You'll be amazed at how everything changes. People start to treat you with more respect. They listen more closely. They feel safer around you. Because people don't need you to be perfect. They need you to be real. They need you to be there, fully there. And nothing says I'm here louder than a steady gaze. And don't just do it when it's easy. Do it when it's uncomfortable. Do it when you're nervous. Do it when someone is disagreeing with you. Because that's when it matters most. That's when people decide who you really are. Are you someone who folds, or someone who stays grounded, stays calm, and stays present? The world is full of noise. People who talk fast and say nothing. People who bluff their way through conversations. But eye contact cuts through that. It signals substance. It signals care. It signals presence. In a world full of distractions, being present is a superpower. Develop it. It doesn't take talent. It takes intention. It takes the decision to stop hiding, to stop minimizing your presence, to stop treating yourself like you don't belong in the conversation. You do. You have something to say. And when you say it, look people in the eye like it matters, because it does. If you're leading a team, eye contact shows clarity. If you're building a relationship, it shows trust. If you're in a negotiation, it shows strength. If you're apologizing, it shows humility. Whatever the situation, eye contact adds weight to your words. Use it. And if you've spent years avoiding it, don't judge yourself. Just start practicing now. Look people in the eye for 1 extra second, longer than feels comfortable. That's how growth starts. That's how confidence is built. Not in huge leaps, but in small moments of presence, repeated daily. Your eyes tell your story. They reveal if you're hiding or if you're ready to rise. So decide now, what story do you want to tell? One of fear or one of quiet power? Because once you stop avoiding eye contact, you stop avoiding your life. You stop avoiding your potential. You stop avoiding the parts of you that are ready to lead. And the world starts responding differently. Not because you said something new, but because you finally started showing up with your full presence. So the next time you speak, don't just speak. Connect. Don't just deliver your message. Let them feel you. And let that feeling begin with your eyes. Because when you look people in the eye, they don't just hear your words. They feel your belief. They see your truth. And they remember your presence. That's how leaders rise. That's how influence is built. That's how your message lands. So show up, be seen, be heard. And look people in the eye, like your words are worth believing. Because they are. And so are you. Number 4, listen fully before you give your opinion. If you interrupt before someone finishes, what you're really saying is, my thoughts matter more than your voice. Let that sink in. We live in a world that talks too fast and listens too little. Everyone is in a rush to be heard, to be right, to be validated. But what most people don't realize is that true power, true influence, and real wisdom come from the ability to listen fully, completely, patiently before speaking. Listening is not weakness. It's not passivity. It's control. It's discipline. And above all, it's respect. You can fake confidence with a loud voice. You can fake intelligence with big words, but you cannot fake deep presence. And presence begins when you choose to listen with your entire mind, not just with your ears. It's when you stop rehearsing your reply while the other person is still talking. It's when you stop searching for flaws in their logic, just so you can win the argument. It's when you finally realize that understanding is not the same as agreeing, but it is the foundation of trust. People don't remember every word you say, but they will never forget the feeling of being truly heard. And most people, they've never felt that. They've lived their whole lives surrounded by people who talk over them, who finish their sentences, who dismiss their emotions, who nod without absorbing a single word. So when you show up and actually listen, without judgment, without rushing to correct, something powerful happens. Walls come down, resistance fades, connection begins. Listening is emotional intelligence in action. It's awareness, it's maturity, it's you stepping out of your ego long enough to ask, what is this person really trying to say? What's underneath their words? What pain? What fear? What dream is hiding behind their tone? Most people hear volume, Few listen for truth. Be one of the few. This skill, if you master it, will transform your life. It will make you a better leader, a better partner, a better friend. Because the real art of influence isn't about having the loudest opinion. It's about understanding people better than they understand themselves. And you can't do that if you never let them finish their thoughts. Most of the time, people aren't even looking for answers. They're looking for space. They're looking for someone who won't rush in with advice or judgment. They're looking for someone who can sit in silence without making it about them. That silence, that patience, that's where relationships are healed. That's where respect is built. You can't fake this. You can't pretend to care while mentally preparing your next sentence. People feel it. They know when you're not really there. They know when you're listening just long enough to speak. And every time you do that, you lose more than just their attention. You lose their trust. Start noticing your habits. Do you interrupt? Do you finish other people's thoughts? Do you nod while secretly disagreeing in your head? Or do you sit with their words long enough to really feel what they're trying to express? Not just what they're saying, but why they're saying it. That's where connection lives. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing. Just be still. Let the other person empty themselves. Let them vent, share, explain. And when they're done, not when you assume they are, but when they actually stop, then you respond. Not to prove you were right, not to dominate the space, but to build on what was just shared with genuine insight, not impulse. This isn't just about being polite. This is about developing real presence. Most people don't even know what it feels like to be fully present in a conversation. They're either defending, reacting, judging, or escaping. But presence, real presence, is when you're so locked into what the other person is saying that the world around you disappears, and they feel that, and it changes them. Imagine how your life would change if you mastered this. If every time someone spoke to you, they felt safe, they felt understood, they felt respected. You'd become the person people go to when they need clarity, when they need direction, when they need truth. Not because you always have the right answers, but because you always make room for them to be real, without fear, without shame, without interruption. This is not easy, because your ego will want to jump in. It will want to defend itself. It will want to correct what feels wrong. But you have to rise above that. You have to learn to sit in the space between stimulus and response and breathe. Because in that space is your power. In that pause, you choose who you want to be. You can be reactive, or you can be wise. Let the other person speak. Let them express. Let them unravel their thoughts, even if it comes out messy or confused. Your job isn't to control the conversation. Your job is to create a space strong enough for clarity to emerge. And that clarity can only emerge when you stop trying to steer it too soon. Be slow to speak. Be quick to understand. This doesn't mean you don't express your truth. It means you know when the timing is right. And more importantly, you know when the timing is wrong. Sometimes you have to delay your opinion to elevate the moment. True maturity is revealed in how long you can hold your opinion without forcing it. It's revealed in how deeply you can understand before you try to be understood. It's not that your voice doesn't matter. It's that your timing determines whether your voice builds trust or burns bridges. Think about the people who've had the biggest impact on you. Were they loud? Were they constantly trying to prove something? Or were they the ones who listened so deeply that their responses cut straight through the noise and hit your heart like lightning? That's who you want to become. And the way to become that person is simple, but not easy. Listen first. Wait longer than feels natural. Breathe through the urge to respond. Let silence do the work. And only speak when your words are shaped by understanding, not by impatience. This will change your relationships. It will deepen them. It will repair old ones, and it will protect new ones, because listening builds bridges that no amount of talking ever could. It's not about withholding your truth. It's about honoring the other person's truth first. That doesn't mean you agree with everything, but it does mean you care enough to understand before responding. This habit, this discipline, will set you apart, because the world is full of people desperate to be heard. Be the person who actually listens. Be the one who waits. Be the one who understands. And when it's finally your time to speak, your words will land with more weight, more clarity, more impact, because they weren't rushed. They were earned. Earned through your patience, through your presence, through your respect. You don't need to dominate the conversation to lead it. You just need to elevate the tone. And that starts with listening. Not partially, but fully. Not impatiently, but with intention. Let the other person finish. Let them feel heard. Let them breathe. Because in a world that listens to reply, you must learn to listen to understand. And that understanding, that presence, that patience will change your life. It will make people trust you more, respect you more, and open up to you in ways you never thought possible. Because you gave them something rare. You gave them space. So from now on, let that be your gift. The gift of full attention. The gift of deep presence. The gift of listening fully before offering your opinion. And when you do speak, they'll listen. Because they know you listened first. That's how you earn influence. That's how you gain respect. That's how you lead. So listen, really listen, and watch your life transform. One conversation at a time. Number 5, say exactly what you mean every single time. If your words aren't clear, your life won't be either. Because clarity is power. And every time you speak vaguely, you hand your power away. Most people don't realize how much of their stress, confusion, and chaos is self-inflicted. Not because they lack intelligence, not because they don't care, but because they never learn to say exactly what they mean. They dance around the truth. They water down what they feel. They bury their honesty under layers of politeness or fear, hoping people will somehow read between the lines and still understand them. But life doesn't work that way. People don't hear what you meant. They hear what you said. And if what you said was unclear, misunderstood, or incomplete, you will suffer the consequences of your own lack of precision. When you speak, speak with purpose. Say the thing you're afraid to say, not recklessly, but responsibly. Don't lace it with resentment. Don't hide it behind sarcasm. Don't turn it into a question when you mean a statement. Say it. Say it clearly. Say it now. Because if you don't, your silence will become a weight you carry. And that weight, it becomes frustration. It becomes resentment. It becomes distance between you and the people you care about. And eventually, it explodes. Not because you're a bad communicator, but because you avoided hard clarity when it was needed most. Most conflicts in life don't come from malicious intent. They come from poor communication. They come from assumptions, misinterpretations, and vague words that leave too much room for doubt. When you don't say what you mean, you invite confusion, and confusion breeds chaos. But when you're precise, when you use your words like a laser, not a fog, everything changes. People know where you stand. They know how you feel. They know what you expect. And that level of directness, it doesn't push people away. It builds trust. Because clarity is respect. You respect someone when you stop making them guess what you want. You respect yourself when you stop shrinking your truth to make others comfortable. You're not doing anyone a favor by staying silent when something needs to be said. You're not being nice by avoiding confrontation. You're being dishonest with yourself and with them. Real growth demands real communication. You can't grow if you're pretending. You can't build a strong relationship if your needs are locked behind fear. You can't lead, influence, or succeed if your voice is coded in ambiguity. Think about it. How many times in your life did something fall apart, not because someone was cruel, but because they didn't say what they truly felt? How many relationships have been broken by silence, not shouting? How many opportunities were lost because someone didn't express what they needed, hoped for, or believed in? You owe it to yourself to be clear. That means removing filler words. That means eliminating passive language. That means being bold enough to say, "This is how I feel," without flinching. This is not about being harsh. It's about being honest. There's a difference between being rude and being real. And people will feel the difference in your energy when you speak from clarity, not defensiveness. The more you hesitate, the more you dilute the strength of your truth. Every time you backpedal, every time you soften the blow to protect someone else's comfort while abandoning your own, you train yourself to believe your voice doesn't matter. And over time, that belief becomes your identity. But it's not true. Your voice does matter. Your thoughts deserve to be heard. But they only carry weight when you deliver them with precision. Vagueness is weakness. Specificity is strength. And every strong communicator knows this. The clearer your message, the stronger your influence. This applies in every area of life. In business, vague instructions lead to poor results. In relationships, vague emotions create distance. In your goals, vague desires produce weak action. But when you get specific, when you say what you mean, every time, without delay, you unlock momentum. You stop wondering why things feel stuck. You stop blaming others for your own lack of courage. And you start moving forward with confidence. It's easy to speak in circles. It's easy to sugarcoat. It's easy to hide behind long explanations and avoid uncomfortable truths. But easy doesn't build greatness. Easy doesn't fix your life. Clarity does. So train yourself to stop before you speak. Think about what you actually mean. Then deliver it as simply, as clearly, and as confidently as possible. Drop the filler. Remove the disclaimers. You don't need to explain yourself into exhaustion. You just need to say what's true for you. This takes courage, because clarity often requires you to face your fear of rejection. It forces you to let go of people-pleasing. It challenges your need for approval, but the freedom that comes with it is worth everything. You'll sleep better when you stop holding back. You'll walk lighter when you stop replaying conversations in your head, wondering if you should have said more. You'll stand taller when you know you've expressed yourself fully, cleanly, and respectfully. Because then, no matter how others respond, you know you didn't betray yourself. And that's the foundation of self-respect. Saying what needs to be said when it needs to be said. Not waiting for the perfect moment. Not hoping someone else will say it for you. You are responsible for your voice. No one else. Even in disagreement, clarity wins. You can disagree with someone and still earn their respect, if you're clear. You can disappoint someone and still maintain the relationship, if you're honest. People don't need you to be perfect. They need you to be real. Stop waiting for someone to read your mind. Stop dropping hints and hoping someone picks them up. Stop expecting others to feel what you haven't expressed. That's not communication. That's manipulation. Say it straight. Say it early. Say it fully. This one skill will simplify your life more than any other. Because when people know what you mean, they know how to move forward. They know how to respond. They know where they stand. And clarity removes the guesswork that causes so much unnecessary suffering. When you speak, speak like someone who values their time. Speak like someone who values their relationships. Speak like someone who understands that life is too short for miscommunication. If it's love, say it. If it's hurt, admit it. If it's a boundary, draw it. If it's a truth, speak it. Every time you avoid saying exactly what you mean, you complicate your life. But every time you lean into that discomfort and say it clearly, you create freedom for yourself and for everyone around you. And isn't that what we all want? Freedom, simplicity, clarity, peace. You won't get there by hiding behind your words. You'll get there by standing inside them. So from this moment forward, promise yourself one thing. You will speak with clarity. Not sometimes. Not when it's easy. Every single time. No more pretending. No more hinting. No more hoping people figure it out. Say exactly what you mean, and watch how everything changes. Number 6, speak with purpose that moves people to act. Every time you open your mouth, you're either building something or destroying something. And if your words aren't moving people toward action, they're just noise that disappears the second it's spoken. Most people speak just to be heard. They ramble, complain, or repeat what they've already said before, hoping that somehow by talking more, they'll be understood. But the truth is, people don't remember what you say. They remember how your words make them feel and what your words make them do. And if your voice isn't igniting something inside the listener, it's being forgotten the moment it leaves your lips. This is why so many people get overlooked. This is why leaders fail, relationships drift apart, and potential dies in silence. Because we haven't been trained to speak with purpose. We've been trained to speak to fill space, not to create change. When you speak with purpose, your words become fire. They become the spark that wakes someone up from their sleep. They become the turning point in someone's day or someone's entire life. And that's not exaggeration. That's truth. Because all it takes is one sentence, spoken with intent, to change a person's direction. Maybe that sentence won't come from a famous quote or a motivational book. Maybe it'll come from you, from your life, from your pain, from your passion. But it will only matter if you speak with focus, if you speak with impact, if you speak like someone who knows the weight of what they say. People don't need more information. They need transformation. And transformation comes from messages that break through the noise, that reach beneath the surface, that shake someone's belief system until they can't go back to who they were before they heard you speak. That's the power of intentional speech. That's what it means to speak with purpose. You can see this in the great communicators. Watch someone who knows how to move a room. They don't waste words. They don't repeat themselves. They don't talk just to talk. Every sentence has a reason. Every pause has a purpose. Every story leads somewhere. Because they're not trying to impress you. They're trying to move you. That's the difference. And when you learn how to do that, everything changes. In your career, people begin to listen. In your relationships, trust deepens. In your goals, progress accelerates. Because purpose-driven speech creates direction. It eliminates confusion. It forces people to pay attention, not because you demand it, but because you've earned it. The reason most people don't speak with purpose is because they don't live with purpose. If your life lacks clarity, your voice will too. If you haven't wrestled with what you believe, what you value, what you stand for, your words will float. They'll have no spine. And people can feel that. But when you speak from a place of conviction, when your words are backed by lived experience, when your message is forged in fire, people don't just hear you, they feel you. And that feeling sticks. It inspires action. It becomes unforgettable. This is why purpose-driven speech is not about being loud. It's not about being charismatic. It's not about using perfect grammar or sounding smart. It's about alignment. When what you say matches who you are and what you believe, your voice gains power. Not the kind of power that controls people, the kind that empowers them. That's what you should aim for. Not to be the most well-spoken, but the most impactful. To be someone who doesn't waste breath. To be someone who, when they speak, people lean in because they know you're about to say something that actually matters. This doesn't mean every conversation needs to be intense. It means every conversation needs to be honest, intentional, driven by the question, what do I want this person to walk away with? That's how purpose-driven speakers think. They don't just react, they deliver. They deliver clarity. They deliver strength. They deliver meaning. Think about the times someone said something that stuck with you forever. Maybe it wasn't long. Maybe it wasn't elegant, but it hit you in the gut. It woke you up. That didn't happen by accident. That happened because the speaker wasn't just throwing words at you. They were sending a message with force. They knew the weight of what they were saying, and they said it like it mattered. Now imagine what would change in your life if you became that kind of communicator. What would happen to your relationships if you stopped dancing around your truth and started saying what needed to be said? Not with aggression, but with intention. What would happen to your business, your dreams, your goals, if every time you opened your mouth, people felt it in their bones? That's what happens when you stop speaking to impress and start speaking to impact. It's a shift, a mindset, a new way of communicating that isn't about being perfect. It's about being real and resonant. This doesn't mean you always have to be motivational. Sometimes speaking with purpose means saying hard things. It means calling someone out. It means admitting your own fault. It means drawing a line. And when you do it with purpose, even your most difficult words become a gift, because you're not speaking from ego. You're speaking from truth. The greatest communicators don't say the most. They say the right thing at the right moment in the right way, and they say it with their whole being, voice, face, energy, and intention. You can feel it. And once you experience that, you never forget it. That's what you need to embody. Not to sound like someone else, but to own your message, to speak in a way that reflects your highest self, your strongest values, and your clearest vision for the world you want to create. Your voice is a tool. Use it to build, not to break. Use it to inspire, not to impress. Use it to wake people up, not to lull them into comfort. Use it to challenge, to uplift, to move. But don't speak from a place of emptiness. Fill your message with depth. Fill it with something real, something lived. People are tired of surface-level talk. They're desperate for someone to say something that matters, even if it hurts, even if it shocks them, even if it challenges everything they believe. That's the kind of speech that makes history. That's the kind of speech that builds movements. That's the kind of speech that changes lives. So here's the challenge. The next time you speak, in a conversation, on a stage, in a meeting, or even to yourself, ask one question. What is the purpose of these words? If the answer is unclear, wait. Don't speak just to fill space. Speak to create change. Speak like every word carries the full weight of your intention. Speak like it's the last chance you have to leave a mark. And when you do that, when you stop speaking from pressure and start speaking from power, you will see a shift in how the world responds to you. Because the world doesn't respond to noise. It responds to clarity, to direction, to depth. Speak with purpose that moves people to act. Because action is what changes lives. And your voice, if you use it right, is the match that can light that fire. So use it. Speak boldly. Speak truthfully. Speak with the kind of purpose that makes people sit up straight. Take a deep breath and say, I needed that. And when they say it, you'll know you've done more than just talk. You've transformed. Now go speak like your words matter, because they do. Number 7, pause. Before you speak to show you think. They judged you because you didn't speak fast enough. But what they missed was the strength in your silence. We live in a world that glorifies quick responses, instant replies, and loud voices. Everyone's in a rush to be the first to speak, the fastest to answer, the most reactive in every room. But here's the truth. Power doesn't always come from speaking quickly. Real power comes from being intentional, from pausing, from choosing your words like they matter, because they do. The pause before you speak isn't hesitation. It's intelligence, self-control, and confidence. When you pause, people lean in. When you pause, you create space. When you pause, you let your mind breathe before your mouth moves. That space between thought and speech is sacred. It's where clarity is born. It's where emotional control is built. It's where your words transform from automatic reactions to deliberate choices. And people can feel that. They can feel the difference between someone who speaks to respond and someone who speaks to mean something. Most people are addicted to noise. They're so uncomfortable with silence that they rush to fill it. But those who lead, those who influence, those who change the atmosphere when they walk into a room, they understand the power of the pause. They understand that silence isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It shows you're present. It shows you're thinking. And when you finally do speak, your words cut deeper because you didn't rush into them. Think about it. How many times have you said something too fast and regretted it the moment it left your mouth? That's what happens when you let emotions speak before your mind does. You lose control. You trade truth for reaction. You trade clarity for impulse. You speak from tension instead of thoughtfulness. And the damage that can do is real. One careless sentence can ruin trust, start a fight, or destroy an opportunity. But when you take that one breath, that one beat, that one intentional pause, you reclaim power over your response. You give your thoughts time to align with your values. Pausing before you speak is a habit of the wise. It tells people that you're not just trying to be heard, you're trying to be understood. It tells them you respect what's being said enough to process it fully before responding. And that builds credibility. That earns respect. That separates you from the people who react emotionally and speak without depth. Great leaders, powerful communicators, deeply respected individuals, they don't jump into every conversation like it's a race. They wait. They read the room. They listen fully. And when they do speak, you feel the weight of every word. That's not charisma. That's discipline. That's the result of thinking before speaking. But this isn't just about sounding more thoughtful. It's about living more intentionally. The way you speak reflects how you think. And if you're always reacting, always rushing, always blurting out your thoughts without pause, that means your inner world is just as chaotic. To change your speech, you have to change your mental state. You have to slow down your thinking. You have to choose awareness over reactivity. So let's be real. Why do most people speak without pausing? Because silence feels uncomfortable. Because they're afraid they'll look weak or unsure. Because they think slowing down will make them seem less intelligent. But here's the twist. The opposite is true. The pause shows mastery. It shows that you don't speak to fill air. You speak to shape it. It shows that you don't let emotions drag you around. You lead them. It shows that you're someone worth listening to. In relationships, the pause can save you from saying something you can't take back. In business, the pause can help you avoid emotional decisions and say something that shifts the entire conversation. In conflict, the pause gives you the upper hand. Not to dominate, but to control your message and your emotions. Because when you pause, you're not just preparing your next sentence, you're protecting your character. And here's something even deeper. The pause gives others room too. When you slow down, you create space for someone else to speak. You invite openness. You allow dialogue instead of just reaction. That's how trust is built. That's how connection is formed. Not through quick wit or rapid comebacks, but through presence, attention, and care. You listen fully. You reflect before responding. You make people feel seen because you're not rushing to overpower them with your voice. Most people are terrified of silence, but you can train yourself to embrace it. Start small in your next conversation. Pause before you respond. Just a second or two. It might feel awkward at first, but over time that space becomes your strength. It becomes the moment you gather your energy, realign your values, and deliver your message with focus. And people will start to notice. They'll start to respect you not just for what you say, but for how you say it. That pause tells the world, I'm not impulsive, I'm intentional. I don't just talk, I think. I don't just respond, I connect. And that makes you stand out in a world drowning in noise. This practice is not easy. It requires humility. It means you don't always have to be the first to speak. It means letting others go first. It means slowing down even when your emotions are screaming to speak up. But if you can master that pause, you master yourself. And when you master yourself, you lead your life from strength, not from reaction. If you want better conversations, learn to pause. If you want deeper respect, learn to pause. If you want to show people that you are someone of substance, someone who doesn't speak lightly, someone who carries their words with responsibility, learn to pause. Because that pause is where transformation happens. That's where the old self ends, and the better self begins. That's where careless words are filtered out, and powerful words are crafted. And when the world sees that you take your words seriously, they will take you seriously. Speak less. Think more. Let your silence say, I'm not here to impress. I'm here to understand, to deliver, to build. You don't need to be the loudest, to be the most powerful. You just need to be the most aware. And that awareness starts in the pause. The next time you feel the urge to speak, stop, breathe, think. Ask yourself, what outcome do I want from what I'm about to say? That one question alone will change the direction of your conversation. It'll stop you from saying something just to be right. It'll guide you towards saying something that builds the moment, rather than breaks it. When you pause, you signal maturity. You show that you're not a prisoner to your emotions. You show that you've developed enough self-awareness to pause even when your pride wants to rush in. And that's a mark of real strength, not just verbal strength, but internal strength. The pause will save your relationships. The pause will sharpen your leadership. The pause will remind you that what you say is a reflection of who you are. And if you want to be someone who's remembered, someone who's respected, someone who leaves an impact, your words must carry your values, your tone must match your purpose, and your speech must begin in silence, not noise. That's where clarity begins. That's where power starts, in the stillness before the sound. So from this day forward, speak like someone who means it. Speak like someone who doesn't rush to fill space, but who knows how to own it. Speak like someone who thinks before they talk, not because they're unsure, but because they care. And when you do, people won't just hear you, they'll feel you, they'll follow you, they'll remember you. Pause, think, then speak. Because the moment you embrace the pause, you become unforgettable. Number 8, use fewer words to make a stronger point. You don't need to shout to be heard. You need to be clear, bold, and unforgettable with fewer, sharper words. There's a quiet kind of strength that most people miss. The kind that doesn't need long explanations, loud opinions, or endless stories to prove a point. It's the kind that knows how to deliver a message with such precision, such focus, such undeniable truth, that even a whisper feels like a thunderstorm. Most people waste their power by talking too much. They dilute their message with fluff, with filler, with noise. But those who influence the world, they speak less and say more. We've all met someone who dominates every conversation, who speaks in circles trying to convince people of their importance. But the ones we remember, the ones who shift our mindset with a single sentence, they speak with control. They speak with purpose. They understand that the fewer words you use, the more impact each one carries. Because in communication, it's not about how much you say, it's about what stays with people after you stop speaking. The strongest messages aren't the longest ones. They're the clearest. They're the most direct. They don't leave room for confusion. They hit hard because they've been sharpened like a blade. When you speak with fewer words, you force yourself to find the truth of what you're saying. You can't hide behind fluff. You can't get lost in rambling thoughts. You have to strip it down to the essence. And that's where real power lives. Think about how many times you've explained yourself too much because you feared being misunderstood. Think about how many times you kept talking because silence made you feel exposed. But every word you added didn't make your point clearer. It made it weaker. It made it easier for others to get distracted, to disconnect, to stop listening. But when you say exactly what needs to be said, nothing more, nothing less, people listen differently. They sit up. They feel the weight of your presence, because you didn't come to impress. You came to deliver. This takes discipline. It takes restraint. It takes knowing that silence can be more powerful than speech, and that clarity is more valuable than cleverness. You're not in a competition to say the most. You're in a mission to say what matters. And sometimes, that's just a few words spoken with conviction. The fewer words you use, the more people remember. I believe in you. This ends now. You're better than this. Let's go. Just a few words, but they can change a life. Why? Because they go straight to the heart. They bypass ego. They cut through noise. And that's the secret to powerful communication. Not more, but less. Most people think saying less means you know less. They think being brief is a weakness. But that's because they don't understand the art of compression. Anyone can ramble. Anyone can keep talking. But it takes intelligence and emotional strength to speak briefly and hit the mark. It takes self-control to not over-explain. It takes awareness to say just enough and then stop. And the ones who master that, they don't need volume. They don't need applause. They don't even need validation. Their words speak for themselves. In every conversation, you are either making your message clearer or clouding it. There's no in-between. And clarity doesn't come from more. It comes from less. It comes from cutting away what isn't necessary. It comes from knowing your core message so deeply that you don't need extra words to support it. When you know what you stand for, when you're aligned with what you believe, your words sharpen naturally. You're no longer searching for what to say. You're saying what's true. You don't have to be poetic to be powerful. You don't have to be dramatic to be respected. You have to be precise. You have to be intentional. You have to speak like you understand the value of time, your own and everyone else's. That means eliminating the noise in your mind before you speak, so that what comes out is focused, clean, and strong. Short, meaningful statements often carry more emotion than long speeches. They pierce deeper because they're real. No dressing up, no pretending, just raw truth. And that kind of truth doesn't just connect, it transforms. You want to lead? Then speak like a leader. And leaders don't ramble. Leaders don't try to impress with big words and long paragraphs. Leaders speak clearly. They speak with conviction. They speak as if every sentence has a purpose. And when you start doing that, you stop wasting energy. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't care to understand. You stop diluting your message with overthinking. And you start commanding attention, not by being loud, but by being clear. When your message is clear, you don't need to repeat it. You don't need to shout it. You just need to say it once with strength and let it land. And when it lands, it stays. Simplicity is not about being soft. It's about being precise. It's about knowing exactly what you want to say and having the discipline to say only that. And in a world filled with noise, simplicity becomes a superpower. People are tired. Their minds are overstimulated. Their attention is fractured. The one who can cut through that with a short, sharp message is the one who gets heard. Every word you say either builds trust or breaks it. It either adds value or takes space. So speak as if your words are currency, because they are. Spend them wisely. Use them purposefully. Don't say things just to fill silence. Say things to bring clarity, energy, focus, and direction. This doesn't mean being cold. It means being real. It means speaking from the heart without wasting breath. It means honoring the weight of your voice. And when you learn to do that, your communication changes. Your influence grows. Your respect multiplies. People start to listen not just because you're talking, but because they know when you speak, it's worth listening to. You're not here to be noise. You're here to be a signal. You're here to deliver something clean, sharp, and unforgettable. Don't water it down with excess. Don't dress it up in fluff. Just speak the truth with clarity, and let that truth stand on its own. Your voice is your tool. Use it like a master. Refine it, shape it, cut away what doesn't matter. Focus on the core. Deliver your point. Then stop. Let your words hang in the air like a weight. Let people absorb them. Let silence follow your power. That's how you speak like someone who commands respect. And remember this, people may not remember everything you say, but they'll remember how you made them feel. And when you speak with fewer words that hit home, they'll feel something deeper, something real, something they carry with them, long after the conversation ends. So don't aim to talk more. Aim to say what matters. Don't try to fill the room with your voice. Fill it with your presence. Speak with strength. Speak with clarity. And most of all, speak less, but make it count. If this hit something inside you, if it stirred a shift in how you view communication, then make it your mission today to stop over-talking. Strip your message to its core. Say only what matters. And when you speak, speak like someone who respects their words. Start now. Speak better. Speak cleaner. Speak sharper. You don't need more words. You just need the right ones. Number 9. Stand tall so your words carry more weight. When you stand tall, you don't just change how others see you. You change how you see yourself. And every word you speak begins to carry the weight of certainty, purpose, and power. Most people think power is only in what you say. But the truth is, power begins in how you show up. The world reads your body before it hears your voice. It senses your presence before it hears your message. If you walk into a room with your shoulders slumped, head down, back curved, you can speak all the wisdom in the world, and it still won't land, because your posture already told the story. I don't believe in myself, and if you don't believe in yourself, why should anyone else? There's a deeper psychology at play here. The way you carry yourself physically changes how you think, how you feel, and how others respond to you. If you want your words to hit with force, your body must speak the same truth. You can't ask people to trust you if your presence is filled with hesitation. You can't inspire change in others if you look like you're doubting your own message. The authority of your voice comes from the foundation of your posture. And when that foundation is solid, when you stand tall with clarity, with calm, with quiet strength, your words become unstoppable. You don't need to be aggressive to be taken seriously. You don't need to speak louder to be heard. But you do need to show up like you believe in every sentence that's about to leave your lips. You need to stand like you're rooted to something greater than fear. That grounded presence makes people listen, not because you demand it, but because they feel it. Every great leader, every unforgettable speaker, every person who moves others to act, they don't just speak well, they embody their message. Their posture reflects their mindset. Their presence reflects their conviction. They don't fold in on themselves. They open up, they rise up, they walk in like they belong. Not because someone told them so, but because they decided to show up that way. You have that choice too. Every day, every moment. When you walk into a meeting, when you enter a room full of strangers, when you're about to speak your truth, you can shrink, or you can rise. You can hide, or you can own the space you're standing in. Not with arrogance, not with ego, but with quiet certainty that you are allowed to take up space, that your story matters, that your truth deserves to be heard. And when you start showing up like that, something radical happens. Your voice changes, your energy shifts. People stop scrolling, they stop talking, they start leaning in, because something about your presence says, this person means what they say. It's not what you're wearing, it's not your status, it's not your titles, it's your alignment, your body, your voice, and your message. When those are all in sync, people listen differently. Let me take you back to a moment you might know too well. A time you had something important to say, but your nerves got the best of you. Maybe your back curved, your arms folded, your eyes dropped to the floor, and as you spoke you felt small, like your words were falling flat, like no one really heard you. That wasn't because your message was weak. It was because your posture told your mind to doubt itself before you even began. But imagine if you had stood up straight, open shoulders, calm breathing, eyes forward. Imagine if you had spoken from a place of grounded stillness, not frantic energy. Would the outcome have been different? Absolutely. This is not about pretending. It's not about faking confidence. It's about training your body to support your strength until your strength becomes natural. Your posture is a tool, and when used right, it can shift your mental state in seconds. That's why people who stand tall consistently speak with more clarity. That's why they make decisions faster. That's why they lead without having to dominate. Their physical stance reminds their mind, I am capable, I am calm, I am in control. Confidence is not loud, it's not flashy, it's not a performance. Real confidence is still, it's presence. It's when your silence is just as powerful as your speech. And that begins with how you hold yourself. If your spine is upright, if your chest is open, if your head is level, you send a signal, not just to others, but to your own mind. I'm here, I'm ready, I'm unshakable. Think about the times you've been most proud of yourself. You probably didn't even realize it, but you were standing taller, weren't you? After a win, after standing up for yourself, after finishing something you didn't think you could, your body rose naturally because victory expands you. But what if you could access that same physical strength before the win? What if you could stand tall, not just after success, but in the middle of challenge? That's what changes the game. That's what separates the people who wait for confidence from the people who build it, moment by moment. Every time you speak, you're building your reputation, you're creating your brand. And your brand is not just your words, it's your energy. If your energy says, I don't believe this, people will feel it. But if your energy says, this matters deeply, even the simplest sentence hits with force. That energy begins in the body, in how you stand, in how you breathe, in how you own the space around you. And let's be real, there will always be moments when you're unsure, when your heart is pounding, when your hands are shaking. But if you can train yourself to stand tall, even in those moments, to root your feet, to lift your chest, to calm your breath, you can still speak with power. You can still deliver truth. And the more you do it, the stronger you become. Because posture isn't just a trick, it's a practice. It's a habit that rewires your mind and your life. We live in a world that tries to shrink us, that tells us to stay quiet, to play it safe, to not take up too much space. But greatness doesn't come from shrinking. It comes from expanding, from rising, from showing up in your full strength, even if your voice shakes, even if your knees tremble. When you stand tall, you're telling the world, I am here, I am enough, I am ready. And if no one ever taught you that before, let me be the first. You deserve to stand tall. You deserve to take up space. You deserve to speak your truth with presence and power. Not because someone gave you permission, but because it's already yours. So from this day forward, let that be your anchor. Stand tall before you speak, as you speak. And after you speak, let your words carry the weight of your presence. Let your body align with your purpose. Let your silence feel like strength, not fear. Because when you show up like that, people don't just hear you, they feel you. And that's what true influence is. It's not volume, it's not dominance, it's alignment. When your body, your voice, and your message move as one, you become unforgettable. You become a force. You become someone who doesn't just talk, but someone who moves people with every word. So take this with you today, before your next meeting, before your next hard conversation, before your next opportunity to speak. Don't just think about what to say. Think about how to stand. Let your spine rise. Let your presence speak first. And when you finally speak, speak like someone who knows their words matter, because they do. You've got this, not because you're pretending, but because you're becoming someone whose presence commands respect, becoming someone whose voice carries weight, becoming someone whose truth can't be ignored. Stand tall, speak true, and never shrink again. Number 10, speak with belief in your voice and message. The moment you speak, the world listens. Not just to your words, but to the belief behind them. Do you know that feeling when you're talking, but your words feel hollow? It's like you're saying all the right things, but something inside you doubts them. You're giving advice, but in the back of your mind, you wonder, am I even convinced by my own message? That's where everything changes. When you speak with belief in your voice and message, you change everything. Not just for those who hear you, but for yourself. You stop being a passenger in your own life and become the driver. Your voice no longer just fills the room, it fills the hearts of everyone who listens. How many times have you heard someone speak, and despite the words themselves being nothing extraordinary, you couldn't help but believe them? They were grounded in something bigger. Their message wasn't just a set of phrases strung together. It was a declaration of truth that resonated deeply with the soul. There was a certainty in their voice that made you lean in, wanting more. It wasn't their experience. It wasn't their title. It wasn't even their knowledge. It was their belief in what they were saying. This is the secret. Belief is magnetic. It's a force that draws people in. It's not about sounding like an expert. It's about truly embodying what you say. When you speak with belief, your message moves. It sticks with people. It lands in places that mere facts can't reach. It taps into that primal part of our brains that craves certainty, clarity, and truth. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be believable. And that comes from the conviction in your voice. Belief isn't just for the motivational speakers. It's for everyone. If you're selling an idea, a product, a service, or even just sharing a personal story, belief is what turns ordinary words into extraordinary ones. Without belief, you're just a person talking. But with it, you're a force. Your words have power, they have meaning, and they have purpose. You've seen it before, right? Someone says something, and instantly it has weight. People nod in agreement, take notes, or make immediate decisions based on those words. But then there are the moments when someone speaks with uncertainty, when they aren't sure themselves, and their words seem to evaporate in the air, as if they never existed. Why? Because belief in your message is everything. It's the foundation of influence. If you don't believe in what you're saying, how can you expect anyone else to? Imagine trying to sell someone on a product you're not convinced about. Can you imagine how that would feel? Like you're just going through the motions, hoping someone will take you seriously. Now picture the opposite. You believe in the product. You know it's exactly what they need. You stand firm in your message. That energy is contagious. Suddenly they're listening. They're interested. They trust you. They want what you're offering because they can feel the belief radiating from you. But this goes beyond selling things. This goes into every conversation you have, every relationship you build, every dream you chase. When you speak with belief, you're not just informing people, you're inspiring them. You're showing them that you're willing to stand by your message, that you're willing to go to bat for it, no matter what, and that's magnetic. When you speak with belief, you stop asking for permission to share your ideas. You stop waiting for someone else to validate your thoughts, your actions, or your worth. You give yourself the authority to be heard, and that's where things change. Because in this world, if you don't believe in your own message, no one else will. Your message becomes a reflection of your own self-confidence. But let's get real. Believing in yourself is hard, especially when life's challenges keep telling you that you're not enough. It's hard when self-doubt creeps in, whispering, "Who do you think you are to speak with authority?" It's hard when failure tries to convince you that you're not cut out for greatness. But here's the thing. Belief is not about never doubting yourself. It's about speaking even when doubt exists. It's about choosing to speak with purpose, despite those internal voices. It's about knowing deep down that your message is worth sharing, even if you're not sure you have all the answers. It's about showing up every single day, knowing that your message is real and worth believing in. And it's in those moments of vulnerability, those moments when you feel the fear, the doubt, the insecurity, that you truly test your belief. Because belief isn't just about the easy days. It's about pushing through the hardest ones. It's about speaking from the heart. Even when you're scared, your words won't land. It's about standing tall. Even when everything inside you says, sit down, keep quiet, don't rock the boat. It's about trusting that your message is bigger than your fear. And it's about knowing that every word you speak can make a difference, no matter how small it may seem. Speaking with belief doesn't mean you're perfect. It doesn't mean you have to have all the answers. It doesn't mean you need to be flawless or invincible. It means you believe in the value of your own truth. It means you understand that your voice, your perspective, and your experiences matter. And when you speak from that place, something magical happens. Your words take on a life of their own. The world doesn't need more opinions. It doesn't need more empty chatter. What the world needs is belief. It needs people who are willing to stand in their truth, speak with conviction, and trust that their message is worth hearing. And the more you speak with belief, the more others will follow. Your words will begin to shape not just your reality, but the realities of those around you. Belief is an energy that others can't ignore. When you believe in what you're saying, when you speak from a place of deep conviction, your words take on a unique power. They have a way of reaching people at a level that logic and reason simply cannot. They bypass the mind and go straight to the heart. And when you speak with belief, you tap into that power every time you open your mouth. But let's be clear, speaking with belief doesn't mean being loud. It doesn't mean being brash or overpowering. It doesn't mean forcing people to listen. It means having the quiet confidence to know that your words, your message, and your voice have intrinsic value. It means saying what you need to say with the assurance that it will be heard. And when you do that, people will start to listen. People will start to trust you. And people will start to act based on what you say. Because when you speak with belief, you are no longer just another person in the room. You become someone who commands attention. You become someone whose words move people. You become someone whose message is undeniable. So if you're feeling unsure, if you're questioning your message or your ability to speak with power, know this: you already have everything you need. You have the message, the voice, and the belief. All that's left is to speak, to share, to show up and deliver your truth with unwavering belief. Remember, every word you speak has the power to shape the world around you. When you speak with belief, you don't just change conversations, you change lives. So speak up, speak with conviction. Speak like you know your words matter, because they do. Now go ahead, speak with belief in your voice, and watch how the world starts to listen differently.